This is the newest superfood. It's nutritious, sustainable, and delicious. It's low in calories, high in protein, and uses far fewer resources to produce than most of our foods. What's the mysterious ingredient? Insects. Insects? No, not these kinds of insects. Most bugs are actually considered to be relatively clean feeders. There's even a name for it, entomophagy, the practice of eating insects, especially by people. Historically, insects were a key component of the hunter-gatherer diet and were an important source of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. There are lots of edible insects, and they range in their nutritional value. How we prepare the insects and which parts of them we eat can maximize their nutritional value. In fact, according to the bug food production company Six Foods, crickets contain 3 times more iron than black beans. Per gram, they have as much calcium as milk, and they're even less likely to make us sick because of their distant relation to humans. According to Professor DeFoliart of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, insects are very high in crude protein, with many species containing above 60% protein. Despite the compelling nutritional evidence for entomophagy, the US doesn't seem to have caught on. In fact, a ton of insect species are already consumed by people all around the world. People don't just use insects as emergency food to ward off starvation, but are included as a planned part of the diet throughout the year or when seasonally available. For example, crickets and grasshoppers are sold as snacks in nearly every street market in the cosmopolitan city of Bangkok, Thailand. As this map illustrates, over 2,000 species of insects are eaten on nearly every continent worldwide. But where is the US in this equation? In one study, scientists note that in countries like the United States, insects are generally considered food more for their novelty than for their nutrients. For example, in chocolates or ice cream, or as a means of survival when wilderness adventures go wrong. Most of us already eat insects without even realizing it. Peanut butter is allowed to contain up to 30 insect fragments per 100 grams, and rainbow sprinkles get their shimmer and crunch from the shellac of the Indian lac bug. There are even bugs in our beloved beer. The hops used in beer production can contain up to 250 aphids, which are basically just really tiny bugs, per 100 grams. With the world population projected by the UN to hit 9.1 billion by 2050, food production will need to increase by 70%. It's going to be tough to provide sufficient food if we keep ignoring insects as nutritious, environmentally friendly food sources due to cultural predispositions. In general, protein sources should be safe, nutritious, flexible, reliable, as well as consumer accepted. These aspects are even more important for novel protein sources. Predictions are that in the decades to come, about 40% of traditional meat consumption will be replaced by novel protein sources. This graph illustrates the sustainability of insects. It shows the grams of protein produced for 100 gallons of water. For the same amount of water, we could have 6 grams of beef protein or 71 grams of cricket protein. Similarly, according to the FAO, much of the increase in cereal demands will be for animal feed to support the growing consumption of livestock products. If we transition from consuming so much meat and towards more crickets, we'll have a lot more wheat and corn that can go directly to feeding people. And we can't forget about climate change interacting with this growing population. Cows produce a lot of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Crickets produce 80 times less methane than cattle, so more crickets and less cattle means less methane and less contribution to climate change. We know that replacing beef with bugs may sound crazy, but it's all about your mindset. Consider sushi. Raw fish? It took decades for Americans to stop being squeamish about it. It wasn't until the early 2000s that sushi became widespread throughout the US. Insects will be the next sushi. It won't happen overnight, but they're just too nutritious, yummy, and environmentally friendly to pass up. Eating at lower trophic levels is the way of the future, so join the movement and start the trend in your community. In fact, it's already happening. Food trucks in San Francisco, snack food companies in Boston, and restaurants in New York City are all building brands around bugs. So spread the word and let's make this healthy, sustainable protein the next cornerstone of our diet.